Hey Sass Squad, welcome back to the video. You saw the title. We're going to be talking about the best lead in the SINNOH Cup. This is a little bit of insight as well why I go about the way I do building my teams. So if you're a subscriber of my channel, it will not be a surprise to you that I've been running Magnezone as my lead in the SINNOH Cup. So I saw a video that came out from King Charmant yesterday, which inspired me to kind of talk about why I picked Magnezone as my lead and why did I build my team the way I did with Gastrodon and Uxie. So if we go to PV Poke and we click on leads under the SINNOH Cup, right there we have regular Magnezone as top for the lead. And even though there are Gastrodon leads and fighter leads or whatever, things that generally can be somewhat of an issue for Magnezone, I think with how the meta actually plays on how common we see Drifblim and Empoleon and Frostlass, I've found a lot of success leading Magnezone. And after watching King Charmander's video, I realized that there was a team running around that people have been hitting Legend with that pretty much mirrored the same ideology of why I built my team the way it did, except I think this team is probably more friendly for most people. I think the team I'm running requires a little bit higher skill play, a little bit better matchups, you know, and you can still win the unfavorable matchups, but I'm going to show you what both of these teams look like in PV Poke real quick and discuss why I'm going the route I do, besides trying to uphold my challenge to running spicy lines this season. So as you can see, this line that's relatively good is Magnezone, Cresselia, and Frostlass. So this is a pretty strong core in general. I mean, Magnezone generally can beat most leads. The only ones it really struggles with are the fighters and the ground types like Gastrodon. But even stuff like Torterra and Grotle and Gliscor, I generally do not switch out on those matchups. This is a really tough team to win against the Bastiodon. But if they are leading it, I assume you probably have a great matchup in a lot of ways. So this team is not afraid of the Gastrodon in any regard. Like, this is a team that you switch out, you have some nice coverage in the back line. But if you just look at this, I mean, this team has some really great coverage. And obviously you have to look at this. These are just averages of 1 and 0 shield. But yeah, it has some really great coverage, some solid play, the things that it's weak to. Like I said, these are going to be some tough matchups, but they're not unwinnable. But yeah, this is a team that King Charmander was covering in his video that I watched yesterday. It still requires a lot of skill to play this team successfully. So now we're going to take a look at my team that I've been running and I've been climbing with this. I've gained around 400, like 300, 400 elo running this team. And I do feel, though, regardless, it is a really tough line. We'll actually show in today's battles, there's a couple losses and we'll talk about how I could have maybe played them a little bit different in hindsight. But on my line, like, these are essentially ABB teams. Like, I assume this one is more ABB for the Gastrodon leads and the fighter leads. But we're still doing a similar thing here. But we're also creating a scenario where we have a better matchup against Bastiodon in the back line as well. And the Gastrodon lead, we always mirror our Gastrodon with them. And if they bring in a Drifblim, we have water pulses to help deal with that. So the reason why I love Uxie over Cresselia, I've talked about this a lot on my stream, it is really purely because of the Thunder move. Because Cresselia has the Grass move and the Fairy and Psychic coverage, some of these matchups it will lose because it just can't hit its target hard enough. And granted, we are running Confusion, which isn't the best at gaining energy, but simultaneously that Confusion damage plus Uxie's natural bulk will be able to help us flip some matchups that we normally wouldn't, you know, maybe we'd want to throw energy with Cresselia, but we can probably just farm down with our Uxie. I just wanted to quickly show you the rating on PV Poke for my team. So as you could tell, this is a tougher scenario trying to line up. And when you look at this information for the team I'm running with Uxie and Gastrodon, this could look very intimidating. Like, oh, I'm going to lose the Gastrodon straight up. The issue about this information, a lot of these matchups we're not actually afraid of still. And even if we are afraid of them, we've built our team in a way where we can still deal with them in most scenarios. Like, I'm pretty sure every Gliscor I've ever faced, I've beaten that team. I'm pretty sure that most Gastrodons, it's like pretty even if it's a scary threat to my entire line. You know, a team like this in general is kind of tough to play. You know, it's not everyone's cup of tea. You're not going to win every battle. I just wanted to like talk about this a little bit because I'm not really changing my team right now. I'm just trying to climb with the same spice line. And in today's video, we're actually going to show you a 3-2 set that I had that let me hit expert. And I want to talk about my wins and my losses. We're going to jump into our battles now. All right, so in this very first battle, we're actually going to get ourselves an Abomasnow lead. And generally, we're not afraid of Abomasnow leads. We can pretty much threaten with our mirror shot, and we can eat any move it's going to throw at us. And luckily for us, we actually get an attack drop here on our very first mirror shot. So that allows me to confidently know that I'm only going to probably hit the shield once in this entire matchup. And we're only going to have to do that if the Abomasnow we're in the lead with decides they want a shield as well. So they do end up wanting the shield. We're going to be able to take this last weather ball and then shield this final one. And that will allow us to kind of maintain the lead here. They're going to switch out to Empoleon, which is a really nice switch because it does end up, they do end up catching my mirror shot and wasting some of my energy there. And I'm a little bit too low where I do not really want to contest the matchup with Empoleon. So I'm actually just going to bring in my Gastrodon, take the Hydro Cannon, and I know I can still get a farm down here. And I think they don't, yeah, they don't bring in the Abomasnow here. They actually bring in Gallade, and I'm going to throw Water Pulse. And honestly, at this point, I already knew we pretty much won this match because Gallade doesn't have anything that can really hit Uxie hard. Leaf Blade is not even, I mean, I think they need like 3 Leaf Blades to do enough damage. And we know that the Abomasnow is not really going to do much either. We can pretty much just farm down. Like, we can just farm. Like, sure, I could have shielded the Weather Ball, but I already knew that I could take Weather Ball and take all the confusion damage from Gallade. It's a great game. So we get a Bastiodon lead, and these type of teams are always difficult to know. If they have Gastrodon in the back line, that will pose a little bit of an issue for our team. I think actually the Drifblim in the back line is the more of the issue for the Bastiodon. But so in this matchup, they actually switch out. Like, the thing is, Magnezone does win the Bastiodon if you just shield once. And they bring in the Grotle, and realistically, what I could have done here is stayed in with our Magnezone. I should have done that and tried to just throw the mirror shot damage because we would have been able to farm down with Uxie here. But now we just create a really awkward scenario where we didn't win switch, and we're not entirely confident we know if we're going to be able to pull off this battle now. So I'm going to throw this Wild Charge on the Gastrodon. A big part of that was just to get off the damage, and even though it's resisted, well, it's technically a little less than neutral damage, but it still does a nice chunk. They do not shield the Gastrodon for whatever reason, and knowing that they have that Bastiodon, and it's just game. I mean, the thing is, Gastrodon just farms down Bastiodon. So we got very lucky in this battle because for whatever reason they didn't shield their Gastrodon at all. And think about that. Look at how this, I mean, obviously we could have thrown something here, but I feel relatively confident that they had to shield Gastrodon here. I think maybe we could have still just barely won, but I think if they would have got that body slam damage off, it would have been huge on us. I always tend to play the Bastiodon lead slightly different depending, I mean, because it's hard. Like, if they have the Drifblim in the back, it's a really difficult time for our team specifically. But okay, so whenever I get Bastiodon leads, 3 Wild Charges is what it's going to take to knock it out. So I generally want to throw 1 and then charge up to the second one again. Like, I want to charge up to 2, throw 1, and then get that second one again. So I have 2 and I'm going to go back to back, and that could be 3 altogether. But our opponent makes a great call, and they just let their Bastiodon go here, and they're going to bring in the Gastrodon right after. And the thing about this is, I don't generally have the best play there. Like, the fact they have the Drifblim in the back still, it's already kind of bad. But here, I do feel like it might have benefited us if we shielded Uxie, even though it seems a little scary. We really need to get that pressure off with Thunder. We need to get a shield there. And I needed to get to the Wild Charge and threaten the shield as well. These 2 plays, while they maybe, it still would have been a pretty close battle because we don't really know what this person had in the back line. The way we played it was just a little too it's not like we have to try to bait in a match like that where we're already kind of down bad. So great calls by our opponent, but in this next battle, we get the Drifblim. They're going to switch to Empoleon, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to throw a Wild Charge, and we're going to switch to our Gastrodon, because this way we get a shield, or they just let it go. I'm actually more afraid when they just sack the Empoleon, and then they bring the Drifblim back in, because that can actually be really devastating for this line. But not everyone really knows what's happening here in my back line. So fortunately for us, we're just coming in here. I don't know why they shielded that, to be honest, but they probably wanted to try to win switch, but they might not be familiar with how that plays out. So in this scenario, we're just going to throw the Body Slam because damage is damage. It probably doesn't really matter, but why not just get it out? And we have 2 shields against this Drifblim. We are going to bring back in our Magnezone, and we have to be a little careful because obviously we're gonna shield this. There's no reason to take an Icy Wind, and they do have this Lucario in the back line, which we can pretty much just win the game now. We just have to shield one of the moves on Lucario, we farm down, and we will have a Thunder ready for that Drifblim. So that's gonna be a good game here. And this is one of the reasons why I think Uxie is a really fun pick over running something like Cresselia, because we do have those nice matchups still against Empoleon and Drifblim. Alright, so in this next battle, we end up getting a Luxray. So the thing about the Magnezone versus other electrics, they do resist both of our moves, but we also resist their moves as well. So the thing here is we want to try to be charging up wild charges, and we make a great call. We do not shield that very first move. I'm going to go straight wild charge because I'm thinking they're not going to shield, and that works out really good for us. So now we kind of have to shield. I feel like maybe we could have taken that Psychic Fang still, but I wasn't sure if they're just going to throw a wild charge or not, and I don't want to just lose the lead here. So now we're going to have to double shield and try to just knock out this Luxray. So I do think we end up just knocking out here with the Mirror Shot because they're not going to shield this. And in comes the Gastrodon, and we're just going to die because I have that defense drop. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring in our Uxie. They have this Frostlass. So the thing about this matchup, I think I switched way too late to Gastrodon here. Because they're going to get a double Avalanche off on me, and I can't even do anything. Like, granted, understand, in this type of matchup, it really would benefit to switch faster. So my reasoning of this matchup, so I'm going to pause this just for a second. So we know they have Gastrodon, and we know that if we would have switched to our Gastrodon faster, we could have got off more Mud Slap damage, and even though Body Slam is resisted by Frostlass, this match is pretty much the only thing that's scaring our Uxie is a Shadow Ball from this Frostlass. We can take Earth Power, we can take Water Pulse, and if they by chance shield with the Frostlass, then we are absolutely going to be able to Future Sight the Gastrodon. So when I look at how this match plays out, a big part of why I lost this in my mind is I stayed in too long with our Uxie instead of directly switching to Gastrodon. Because you'd be surprised at how Gastrodon can Mud Slap and still do a lot of damage just with spamming Body Slam on Frostlass. But as you can see here, I am virtually one away here from just knocking out this Frostlass with our Uxie farm down. And that Shadow Ball is the only thing that really threatened us for the rest of the match. So we went 3-2 this battle, but I think in that match, if I would have just switched faster there to our... if I would have just switched faster, I'm relatively confident that it would have been a very close battle for us. Because, like I said, Uxie has some nice matchups against Gastrodon. Like, even throwing Thunder, 2 Thunders, and even if they had the shield still, I'm relatively confident that Uxie would have been able to come out on top. But yeah, again, it's really close battles, really crazy ones. GG's to all the trainers. Just kind of want to talk about the trials and tribulations of a team that I'm running. I mean, it's all about creativity and finding things that do break the meta, but simultaneously, these aren't the easiest lines to run. You know, I do think the team that we were showing earlier with Frostlass and Cresselia will probably work out a lot better for majority of players because there are just so many Gastrodon. You know, Frostlass is still really good in a lot of matchups. I really appreciate you checking out this video. If you enjoyed this little video today, consider liking, commenting, subscribing. It really helps my content get recommended to a wider audience here on YouTube. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the Sass Squad's getting stronger each and every day. Good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in. I'll catch you next time.